Hey, welcome back to Justin the Mix. It's Justin. This is the very first video of a series I'd like to call Building Your Mix. I'm going to be showing you how to mix your song from the ground up, starting with drums, then guitars and bass, then vocals, then routing and mastering. I hope you stick with me throughout this. Let's get started. Alrighty, now we're here in Pro Tools. I'm going to go ahead and run through this song from start to finish with all the processing on, and then we'll go ahead, take off some of the mastering chain. I'll leave the limiter on, and then we'll get into the drums. So here's the beginning of the song, guys. All right, pretty solid. I really enjoyed making this song, and I like how it came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off some of my master processing. I'll leave the stereo width on, or you know what? Nah, I'll turn it off. I'll leave the limiter on so that we can hear it, and I'll turn off some of the bus processing that I have going on here. Things are about to get pretty weird. And including the parallel. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this section right here, which is all in pink, which are my drums and my parallel drum bus. I'll go ahead and mute the parallel for now, and we'll get into that in a second. So let's go ahead and head on over here to the drums, where the drums start. Cool. Which was right there. Make sure I solo the drums. And we're going to start from scratch. I only have trigger 2 on the kick and snares. Other than that, the rest of the sounds came from Modern and Massive by Get Good Drums. Great stuff. I just felt like I wanted a different kick and a different snare to suit the vibe of the song. So we'll go ahead and get started here with our kick. It's just a dry kick. Other than that, the kick would have been like this. And I'm using kick 10. It's just my personal preference, as well as it's like you've heard kick 10 on so many records. Next up, we're just doing some EQing to lift up. Here, what I'll do is see if I can disable that. I'll disable that bump, and I'll disable that bump. And what we're doing is we're taking out the boxiness, and I'll go ahead and put one by one in here. Let's see. Okay, cool. We're going to take out some of that mid-mud. It's a boxy frequency. And then I found another little boxy frequency over here that I didn't like so much. and I just tamed it a little bit. Here we're going to take out some woof. And we're going to make some room for the guitars with this move right here. Then I found another woofy frequency. Doesn't sound nice. And that's already a really good sounding kick drum, and I'll just A-B it. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and add on the last two things I didn't have. This is, well, in Pro Q3, you have the ability to add, like, dynamic EQ bands. This one, I'm just bringing up the top end just for a little bit of the click so that we can punch the mix just a little more. But I'm using a dynamic EQ band to push up that fundamental low frequency every time the kick plays. And that's pretty much it for the EQ. Real simple, classic stuff. And then we're going to add some compression, fatten it up just a little bit. I try to shoot for at least 5 to 3 dB of gain reduction most of the time. And you'll see there's a part where the double bass gets really, really fast. You'll see it start to pin that down. That's kind of what we want, so that way the low end frequencies don't tend to like muddy up everything else. And then we'll add some GGD clip just to add some distortion to it, make it a little more powerful. And that's it for my kick. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. Moving on over to the snare. We're going to be using snare 12A, classic, another classic snare sample that I like a lot. This time I start with compression. Not a whole much, like not a lot going on there. Real simple EQ. Just to boost the fundamental frequency, take out the ring. Actually, move that ring over just a little bit there. There we go. Now the ring's gone. And boost up the top end. It's got a little snappiness to it. We'll add a little more snappiness with GGD clip. Cool. And then for the snare duplicate, I pretty much did the same thing for this trigger. I just copied it over here, but I changed it to the room sound instead of the snare sound. And this is what the room sound sounds like. Adds so much more body and so much more bite to the snare itself. Again, with the EQ, we're taking out some boxiness. We're taking out the ring. We're boosting the fundamental frequency a little bit. And we're also boosting some of the top end sheen just a little bit, so it bites even harder. And instead of compression on my rooms, I like to do saturation. And I'll show you what that sounds like now. Without. With. Put them together. Cool. Moving on to our toms. Same thing. I'm not doing a lot. I'm just doing fundamental EQ moves for each individual tom. This is the high tom. That's the low tom. And that's the low floor. Same thing. I wanted to get my low floor tom to kind of represent the similar like structure of a kick drum. That's just what I wanted to do for this song in specific. And that's it. Just subtle EQ moves. Feel free to take screenshots. You know, it's going to vary per drum that you'd like to mix. So this is just so happens to be the fundamental frequency for this rack tom. And for each drum, it'll change. Usually it gets lower in the spectrum. And I add some GGD clip just to clip the shit out of them. So let me do it before. With the EQ, with the clipping. For our overheads, I am just doing a little bit of EQing. I like the way they sounded naturally. Within Modern and Massive, the drum sampler, I already had the turbo knob on the overheads cranked up, so I really didn't feel like I needed to add any more compression, and I didn't want to kill the vibe either. Just wanted to tame the EQ just a little bit. The rooms, I've got them blended in just a little bit. I'm not doing anything else to those rooms. So let me go ahead and try it like this. All drum plugins bypassed. That's not fair. Let me turn on the triggers. You can make programmed drums sound really good if you know what you're doing and you know how to program dynamics and velocities pretty well. So, you know, you can do it. I've done it several times, and sometimes it's indistinguishable, sometimes it is distinguishable, but it just take the extra little care and the extra little time to make sure that things don't sound so robotic. And that's it. And there's really not a lot to the drums. That's pretty much as far as I go most of the time, on the individual channels at least. Now we're going to go over to our bus processing. I like to start with the Kramer Pi just for a little bit of extra compression. Then I'll add in JST clip. You heard the volume go down. That's because I attenuated the trim for the amount of distortion that I'm adding in, or the clipping that I'm adding in. That's just something that I do to make sure that things don't go too crazy, but yet still add a little vibe to the track. And we'll beefing it up a little bit with some more EQ for the fundamental frequency of the kick drum, and I have an expander EQ going up for the snare hits. Next up, we got parallel compression. I'm just slamming an 1176 plugin, and I mean you can use the stock plugins here too, in Pro Tools as well as in Reaper. Reaper has a really good 1176. I believe it's called the JS 1176. Really good stuff. The UI is just not like this. But all buttons in, fast attack, fast release, and I slam a lot of it. Let me unmute my parallel bus. I'm going to A-B with and without. So without. It brought up the bottom, and also you can hear the cymbals a little more. It just made everything more fatter, in my opinion, and I really like that. And this is what I was kind of going for this mix. As you heard with the JST clip, how it brought down that level, well, I attenuated for that with parallel compression to kind of bring it back up and make it juicier. And there you have it. That's a drum mix. That's a pretty solid drum mix. I don't know what else to say. That's what I do. And that's usually my go-to for this style of music. Just keep in mind trigger 2, kick 10, and snare 12A. And you can really juice up a drum mix, and you can really bring it to life and change it. So, yeah, that's it for drums. Thanks for checking out this video. Go ahead and drop a comment down below if you want to see anything in the future or have any questions you'd like answered. Please go ahead and like and share it with your friends. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.